No respite in Ukraine. That's despite Russian President Vladimir Putin calling for a ceasefire to mark the Orthodox celebration of Christmas. Several explosions were heard around the eastern Ukrainian cities of Kharkiv and Bakhmut. Russia's defense ministry, however, argues that it has been adhering to Putin's orders. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thought differently.
Only the expulsion of Russian occupiers from the Ukrainian land and the elimination of any opportunities for Russia to put pressure on Ukraine and the whole of Europe will mean the restoration of silence, security and peace. It's what we're working for. It's exactly what the help of our partners is aimed at, and it's exactly what the entire civilized world has now.
And despite the circumstances, Ukrainians braved the Orthodox celebrations with the hope of a better new year.
China has lifted quarantine requirements for inbound travellers, ending almost 3 years of self-imposed isolation. The measure comes into force as China continues to battle a surge in COVID-19 cases, which followed an easing of virus restrictions. Visitors from Hong Kong piled off the first train to arrive at a newly reopened crossing point on the border between Hong Kong and mainland China. But elsewhere, at least 17 people have died after a truck driving in heavy fog crashed into a funeral procession in China's central Jiangxi province.
In light of Iran's Islamic regime executing 2 men on Saturday, Iranian women in London remained defiant. Activists staged a protest in front of London's National Gallery wearing costumes inspired by Margaret Atwood's novel The Handmaid's Tale, to raise awareness about the recent women-led uprising in Iran. The 2 men were put on trial for killing a paramilitary force member during a demonstration. Footage here shows Mohammed Mahdi Karami and Syed Mohammed Hosseini standing on trial on Thursday. The news has sparked international condemnation. EU Foreign Affairs spokesperson Nabila Masrali called for an end to death sentences against protesters. According to human rights activists in Iran, at least 16 people have been sentenced to death in closed-door hearings over charges linked to protests. 517 protesters have died and over 19,000 arrested. Thousands of Israelis took to the streets on Saturday to protest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's new government. Protesters brandished signs with slogans including "Democracy in Danger" and "Together Against Fascism and Apartheid" in the coastal city of Tel Aviv. Netanyahu took office last month, spearheading a new government with extreme right and ultra-Orthodox Jewish parties. Critics and protesters alike have called it Israel's most far-right government in its history.
After days of embarrassment for US Republicans, America has a new Speaker of the US House of Representatives. Kevin McCarthy took the House's gavel despite concerted opposition from some hard right-wing representatives in his party. McCarthy was keen to thank the former president for his victory.
I do want to especially thank President Trump. I don't think anybody should doubt his influence. He was with me from the beginning. Somebody wrote the doubt of whether he was there, and he was all in. We got to do so much work to do, and he was a great influence to make that all happen. So thank you, President Trump. Sit down.
McCarthy will face a tough time as Speaker, with a razor-thin Republican majority in the House and an already established group of rebels. New rules, he agreed to, also mean that it will be easier for members to eject him if they agree with his speakership. Was the early release of Prince Harry's autobiography a mistake or a clever marketing operation? On Thursday, some bookstores in Spain, like this one, put the book up for sale by mistake. This shop assistant remembers how she sold the only copy they had by mistake and hadn't seen the note over the package banning sales before the 10th of January. One of the key revelations from the memoir was the increasingly frosty relationship between Princes Harry and William, which on one occasion allegedly resulted in a physical altercation between the two.